Hey, Head Coach Tom Preston here. I had some really interesting dialogues with two ultra successful clients today, one male, one female. And the theme was so common between the two of them that I just felt compelled to send this recording out to you guys because I think the conversations we had and the insights they had are absolutely game changing in our lives. And again, these are not your average people, these are people running multi-million dollar businesses. They both happen to be in healthcare. They're both doctors, so they're very accomplished. They have their doctorate degrees. And yet, inside themselves, they had experiences from earlier in their life that were completely blocking them and holding them back in life. And I want to talk to you about the dialogue we had, the coaching I did to help them get to this new place. Okay. So, on the one hand, the one person, the lady, had tremendous amount of guilt when she was not busy doing something all the time. Okay, and I mean like a human doing, not a human being. To the point whereby when I started working with her in November, my diagnosis for her was that she was actually soul tired. She wasn't just exhausted, she was tired deep in her soul. And as we've worked together over the past months, what I realized is that she was soul tired because she's been pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and doing things that were not aligned with her values, not aligned with the things that made her who she is at her core, who she wasn't as clear on until we met and did some work on it. But now that she's clear, she realized that there's things even in her business that she doesn't want to do anymore. They don't bring her any joy. And in fact, the guilt she was feeling was not something from outside in society or her family, parents, and so on that she thought, but it was a self-imposed guilt. Because again, what she had done, you guys, which I have done, which I'm going to bet most, if not all of you watching this video have done at some point in your life, you've bought into somebody else's priorities, dreams, and goals based upon their core values. So what she had done, in fact, was that she'd bought into some things she'd heard from influences in her life, her mother, her aunts, some of her sisters, relative to what it means to be a good mom. And literally, it was a rainy Sunday, and she, she felt guilty that she didn't make like home cooked organic meals for her kids, but actually took some time for herself to read a book. And in what ways we coached through it, what we realized was that actually brought her joy. It would have brought her misery to go and break that reading time that she had set aside and go and make this home cooked meal. And in fact, the kids were thrilled. They were playing in their bedrooms, doing video games and doing whatever, right? So they were happy. She was happy, but she felt guilty because she hadn't done that. Again, listen to my language. It was a reflection of her language. It was a should thing. I should do that. Because every time you hear yourself say should, ought to, got to, need to, have to, I almost promise you, guarantee you actually, that is coming from somebody else's voice. That is not coming from within. That is not something that brings you joy and happiness. And what I helped her understand was that, and when you're a young person, a little 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old kid, you're like a little sponge. You're just absorbing things from your influencers. We all do it. We all did it. And we don't have any like spyware or malware filters put up to block the possibility of us getting downloaded something from somebody else's perspective, somebody else's priorities, somebody else's values. We don't have spyware, malware, protection put in, so we just absorb it. And then we go on through life thinking that that's what we should do, ought to do, got to do. Now, here's the piece, right? And obviously, I'm not suggesting that we don't pay homage to our great influencers in our life. They've done a lot for us. I'm not suggesting that in a second. What I'm suggesting is that, and this is what I validated to her, was I said, do you love your mother? And she goes, of course. And I said, but do you buy into, have you absolutely copied everything in the way she lives her life? She goes, no. So I said, is it possible then that you don't have to buy into everything she taught you, either consciously or subconsciously, and you can still have a great relationship? And she said, of course. I said, well, then we can let go of the stuff that doesn't fit your values. And here's the litmus test, you guys, okay? Because it starts off with a mindset. It starts off with an awareness, just like I just suggested we created for her, that in fact, this is a challenge, this is the problem, okay? It's a mindset, and then it's a choice to not do those things that don't bring you joy. The simple filter is joy. And if you're not getting the joy, then out of the experience, then it's probably not causing other people joy as well for you to be in that disgruntled state of mind to go in this case, cook a meal. because she'd bought into the whole homage that, well, all good moms cook meals for their kids, home cooked meals. No, they don't. And we talked a lot about form and time, right? So when we talk about form, we talk about the various forms that an intention can come in. And I tell the classic story about when I chose to have a partner in my life. I figured she'd be a 6-foot blonde, blue-eyed, curvy beach volleyball player or something, right? It turns out that she's a feisty 5'5" brunette with dark brown eyes, and she's curvy. But again, had I locked into the form with which I wanted a partner, not the essence of why I wanted a partner, I would have missed the opportunity to meet the love of my life, right? So be careful of form. So in her case, I said, is there another form with which you can, create organic home-cooked meals for the kids without you doing it? And she goes, well, I don't think so. And I said, of course there is. You could hire a chef. There's meal services. There's virtual meal services now that have all the ingredients. You just got to throw it together, right? And she was also missing the opportunity to teach her kids that, to learn to be independent and to help with dinner or to cook dinner. And again, we're not comparing parenting strategies here, but I know in our family, many people are surprised that our 5 daughters had to learn to pack their own lunches by the time they were 6 years old. We were teaching them independence when they were young. That was a gift. Some people call that cruelty. I call that a gift, right? So it's all just perspective. But the key ingredient, the filter, is joy. So it starts with the mindset. It goes to a choice. And as I helped her understand, which hopefully I can help you understand, it's a skill. It's a skill to let go of the guilt. It's a skill to listen to your inner voice, to listen to the joy when you think about an activity, a priority, or a goal that you're setting, and see whether in fact it hits the test, whether it passes the bar, so to speak, right? And as I said to her, I said, like, relative to this skill, you've got so many skills, but relative to this skill, you're a novice. You're like in kindergarten. And this needs to be a university skill. So be gentle with yourself, okay? Be gentle with yourself as you develop the new skill. So again, I share this because it happened just literally today. There was a male version of this. It was almost identical, a slightly different format, but almost identical in terms of its context. So again, the teaching here is to know that as a child, you bought into influencers' spyware, malware programs, to use an obviously exaggerative illustration, and that you bought into their beliefs and some of their values without even realizing it, that may not serve you. And again, relative to your influencers, obviously parents being some of the biggest ones, you can buy into pieces of it. You don't have to buy into the whole package, right? I love my parents, I have a great relationship, but I don't do everything in my life the way that they did it, right? I take the best, I take pieces, I don't take the whole, and you can too. Because the ripple effect is for you to have more joy, more fulfillment, and more prosperity in your life. If this is a video you've enjoyed, then please, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, you get notified when other videos come out. I look forward to interacting with you in the future.